What are the two modes of Zen, and when are they useful?
So really Zen mainly has two modes of configuration. So we have a standard Dom0 mode and a Dom0-less. And Dom0 mode has been around since the inception of Zen. And a Dom0-less mode is relatively new within the last couple of years. And Xilinx has really been pushing for a Dom0-less configuration. And the biggest difference between the two is mainly their boot sequence and the feature sets that they provide. And so their boot sequence differs from the fact that a standard Dom0 configuration boots Dom0, which is your control domain. And then from Dom0, you would use the XL tool stack to boot a number of unprivileged domains, or guests, we call them. And in a Dom0-less configuration, it's a bit different. So hence the name Dom0-less. The goal is to get rid of Dom0. So there's no control domain anymore. You don't have the ability to create or reboot domains at runtime. And so the point of Dom0-less is static partitioning. You define a number of unprivileged domains in your runtime configuration, and then Zen boots those domains directly during the boot of the Zen kernel. And so the goal of that is to increase the boot time. But that depends on a number of other factors as well. And so the difference in the feature sets here is that because we don't have a Dom0 anymore, there is no XL tool stack. There's no paravirtualized driver support, so there's no driver sharing anymore. And there's no Zen store, grant tables, or event channels. So that can affect a number of features in your Zen system. So as you develop a Zen system, keep those in mind.
How does Zen's Dom0-less mode keep my application secure?
So because there is no Dom0 in a Dom0-less configuration, there's no control domain. So there's no XL tool stack. So without a control domain, there's no control domain to hack into. So without the XL tool stack or Dom0, you can't hack into it. Ideally, you shouldn't be able to start or stop the domains that are already executing. And hence the whole point of Dom0-less is this static partitioning. And what that means is that the resources such as your CPUs and RAM are statically partitioned to the domains. And this is unlike in a standard Dom0 configuration where those are dynamically reconfigurable at runtime. As well as, because there's no paravirtualized drivers in Dom0-less, there's no device sharing. So you can't share, for example, say you want to share your SD card with a domain, that could be a potential security issue. So without paravirtualized drivers in Dom0-less, that wouldn't be something you'd be able to do right now.
How do different domains communicate in Dom0-less mode?
So inter-domain communication is kind of a widely desired feature, and it's not just in the Zen system, but any VM, hypervisor system such as SEL4. Inter-domain communication is really a feature set that a lot of customers ask for, and there's already kind of a feature set to do that in a standard Dom0 configuration, and this is called libvchans. And so one example of inter-domain communication would be maybe you need to log kernel boot logs. Say you have a couple Linux domains booting and you want to log their kernel boot logs. So you have one domain that kind of goes out and requests those from the other unprivileged domains, and you write that to a non-volatile disk, such as a SATA drive. And like I already mentioned, libvchans can do that for you in a standard Dom0 configuration. But in Dom0-less, we don't have the option to use libvchans because libvchans require Zen store, grant tables, and event channels, all of which have not been proven or accepted into a Dom0-less configuration yet. And so one of the options that DornerWorks has investigated is a new feature called Argo. And Argo is a kind of a new secure method for inter-domain communication that was upstreamed in Zen starting in version 4.12. And Argo is not supported by default in Dom0-less. However, DornerWorks has gotten it working in Dom0-less with the Argo Linux user space drivers and a small Linux kernel patch. And so this is really a desirable feature, and it allows for inter-domain communication in Dom0-less, which is kind of a first of its kind.
What are the latest updates to Dom0-less mode?
Perhaps one of the most important feature sets that we've supplemented in Dom0-less has been the scheduler and CPU pool configuration. And this is already a feature that exists in a standard Dom0 configuration. And because you don't have a Dom0 or the XL tool stack in Dom0-less, you don't have the ability to configure your CPU pools or schedulers. And so as a result of that, all your domains execute in a single CPU pool using the configured scheduler and on all the physical CPUs in your system. And so this is kind of undesirable because the standard Dom0 configuration has this feature. Moving to a Dom0-less system might not be desirable anymore because of the CPU pool and scheduler configuration. So DonorWorks has developed a patch series to add this capability to a Dom0-less system. And so this configuration would be done in your system device tree. It would be parsed by the Zen kernel at boot time. And it would provide the exact same feature set that a standard Dom0 system provides, but now in a Dom0-less configuration.